Hello there, welcome back to Zero Production Value Movie Reviews. As always, I'm Eric Hoernke, and today I'm going to be discussing the 2020 film Guns Akimbo, directed by Lei Howden. So how many films can one film channel / borrow from / rip off? I don't know, but this one does it a lot. Like, while I was watching this, it was just reminding me of so many other movies, from Death Race to Smokin' Aces to The Running Man to Wanted, even some Scott Pilgrim tossed in there, Hardcore Henry, and even, I never watched it, but it reminds me a little bit of Emma Roberts' movie from a few years back called Nerve, just with the way they're interfaced through their phones in an app and they're made to do stuff. That sort of reminded me of that. So what I'm saying is this movie is fairly derivative. That being said, it is not without its entertainment value. It has a pretty tongue-in-cheek, bonkers plot, never taking anything, especially itself or violence for that matter, very seriously. So you can kind of watch it just on that level, not really getting too invested in it, so it doesn't, it would be a pleasant surprise if it was great, but you're not really necessarily expecting that much out of it. So welcome to Skizm, which is a game where basically two participants are pitted against each other in a Mortal Kombat deathmatch type of thing. They're not two, and they have to fight to the death until one of them is dead. Now they're not in like an arena or anything like that, but they just kind of run amok in the city, no rules, can do whatever they want. Just one of them has to end up dead. So we get introduced, and people watch this thing through like an app. It's all done online. There's drone cameras that catch, of course, everything, every little move that these people make. And people have their favorites and they bet on it. And it's wildly popular in this underground, maybe not so underground deathmatch. I don't know. It's kind of left up to a little bit of interpretation there. But in any case, so we meet Nyx, who is the hyperviolent champion of Skizm, and she's played with some intense goth apathy by Samara Weaving, who's gleefully violent but also incredibly damaged, and you marry that all together and what do you get? This. So of course she wants out, but they tell her you need one more victory in order for you to get out before sweet release, so she can run around and live her life and tear the wings off of puppies or whatever makes this psycho chuckle. Why is it always in these movies that they never seem to figure out when the bad guys tell them you need to do one more job, one more victory, one more this? It's never one more. That is completely fabricated. They're either going to keep you strung out or they're going to kill you. It's just the way that it goes. And they never figure it out. It's funny. So then not only our protagonist is a character named Miles, played by Daniel Radcliffe. He is like a lovable loser character, which reminds me of the guy from Wanted, played by James McAvoy, and the guy from Fight Club, played by Edward Norton. Kind of that just apathetic about life, their job, pretty much everything. So he's a game programmer for some game that he hates. He's like, oh, this sounds super cool, but it's really this stupid game that nobody cares about and everybody hates. And in his off hours, he pretty much is a professional internet troll, and he's apparently very good at it. He can really get people riled up. So he trolls Skizm one night, these people who run it or whatever, and they don't take very kindly to it, and they come calling. Which I gotta admit is kind of funny in and of itself. Who hasn't wanted to do that to stupid internet trolls? I mean, you're trying to be all hardcore and you're just leaving comments on YouTube or on Facebook or wherever. Man, you're a chump. It's just stupid. Trolls are dumb. In any case, so to admonish Miles for his lack of decorum in his internet trolling, they end up nailing guns to both his hands and they pit him in the Skizm game against their champion Nyx. So that is our overall setup, and hence the Akimbo as he dual wields these pistols. The plot goes pretty much predictably sort of from there as Edward Gunhands runs around fumbling around ineptly for a good period of time while managing to not get killed by Nyx or get killed by the cops or arrested by the cops. And eventually he sort of turns the tables and is able to take the fight to Skizm. This movie is decently fun, and the director does have a certain visual flair. I think this is a New Zealand film and a newish director, so we don't really know much about him. He definitely has a good visual sense, but the product is so derivative, it's hard to really give him too much credit. I do like seeing Daniel Radcliffe in a non-Harry Potter role. I know he's done some stuff, but like I really haven't seen him in too much. And I haven't even watched him, I think, in the very little stuff that he's been in, like Swiss Army Man or the Woman in Black stuff. So this is really my only exposure to him so far, outside of the Potterverse. I don't know, it's a bold choice to do the whole thing, like I said, with the Edward Gunhands style, as you do get some jokes, a few chuckles out of the awkwardness of having guns nailed to his hands, like, oh no, how am I going to take a pee without blowing my junk off? But pretty quickly it just devolves into like it's just the same gag over and over, and it's amazing how little people can do when they don't have opposable thumbs to work with. So, well, actually I guess he has his opposable thumb, he doesn't have the rest of his stuff. In any case, so yeah, it eventually becomes tedious, and it limits the protagonist's options going forward quite a bit. Although I don't know how you would have pushed the plot forward had he not been forced to do it in this manner. Hey, but whatever. And at the risk of Miles becoming sort of a Gary Sue type character, I did want to see him kind of blossom a little bit into more of a badass that's never really fully realized. They kind of hint that maybe if there was a sequel, like he might be more of a dangerous entity come the sequel, but in this one he just kind of runs around trying not to get shot, and every time he shoots somebody it's more or less, luck. I do like seeing Samara Weaving pop up here, although her Nyx character seems like a pretty cheap Harley Quinn ripoff, which is amplified even more by how much Weaving actually looks like Margot Robbie, so that doesn't really do her any favors. So despite all that, this is flashy and funny in places, but also it just seems incredibly basic. Like I said, the director has this good visual style, but he needs an original idea. With an original idea and his sensibility, I think he could make something really, really good. But this film just amounts to a knockoff with no presence of its own, and instead just reminds me of the 100 other movies that it is trying in vain to be. So for all that, I am going to give Guns Akimbo, directed by Jason Lee Howden, a C-. I love you. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching my movie review. I enjoyed making it. As always, I am Eric Hoernke, and that rhymes with turnkey. And this has been a production of Zero Value. Thanks for watching.